Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Not Content Podcast. My name is Jerome Cuson, joined as always by my friend Brian. Here tonight, we are continuing our tribute to Rob Reiner. We are going to be discussing 1989's When Harry Met Sally. Please leave a 4 or 5 star review on Apple and Spotify to get those algorithms going. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Click the bell icon for all the notifications about when things get posted. As mentioned, we are continuing with our tribute to Rob Reiner. But Brian, we're never going to catch up on tributes because we have poor Robert Duvall, 95 years old. He was still active as of like 3 years ago. I mean, this is a guy who it has an incredible resume of movies, not the least of which is, of course, The Godfather. I mean, but you could go on and on in terms of the movies that he has made over the years. And I mean, just his relationship with Francis Ford Coppola and with Tony Scott and making Days of Thunder, like just what an unbelievable figure. And I mean, at some point we might get to Rob Reiner, but Jesus Christ, Brian, literally the next 2 months, we're going to be doing tribute months, shows. I mean, it's going to be unbelievable.
We're knocking on wood. We're knocking on wood. For all 90,
Oh my
90
God.
year old Hollywood people that are still alive, we're knocking on wood. But yeah, Robert Duvall, man. I always think about alternate universes and stuff with the multiverse talk and what happens if he was in Godfather 3 and if that would have made any difference at all. Um, it probably would have, but that's always my fantasy booking, him in Godfather 3 and that fallout. But yeah, I mean, for the last 20 years, I mean, when he was in a movie, he was probably that guy that was that older guy that's given the young person some advice, got a gimmick that's been the trope of his for like the last God knows how many years. Secondhand lines, I remember for like 20 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was Michael Caine. But yeah, just roles like that. And I watched Days of Thunder. Well, I watched like half a Days of Thunder. It wasn't so bad. I was expecting worse, but he was good in that. And if I finish the
I
movie, I'll
mean, it's
probably appreciate it
cromulent,
more.
but barely so. Like it's clearly trying to be Top Gun. It's not Top Gun.
Right, and again, he's in that Obi-Wan Kenobi role, which God, that was the '80s, so he's been doing that role for a long time now. So, um, but yeah, he deserves a lot of all the praise and all the praise you can give him, and he's a tremendous actor. Yeah, it sucks, man. Godfather 1 and 2, two of my all-time favorite movies. So there you go.
Yeah, unbelievable. So yeah, we're going to continue with our tribute to Rob Reiner, and we are going to discuss When Harry Met Sally. And I think The Princess Bride is his best movie. I think that what he is able to do in that movie is nothing short of a miracle. But I do have to say that I think in terms of like this movie to me is probably the one that is most closely tied to Rob Reiner, if that makes sense. Like it feels like Billy Crystal is playing a version of Rob Reiner, and you almost never see that in any of his other movies. But it almost this feels like the platonic ideal, I think, of what I would want from a Woody Allen movie, but I never get because Woody Allen is a creep, and that is aside from the allegations. I just think his movies are generally creepy. But this movie to me is what I would want a Woody Allen movie to be, just in terms of the New York setting, the use of classical music throughout. I mean, this is just it feels very classy. It feels very funny, but it doesn't feel like either Harry or Sally are like degraded or anything. It feels like Meg Ryan has a ton of agency. I really appreciate that. Not the least of which, of course, the fake orgasm scene, probably what this movie is most famous for and has been parodied to death. But I mean, the thing is, Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal have unbelievable chemistry, and it is crazy to me that they never did another movie together. I mean, we got multiple Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan movies together as we should. I mean, Sleepless in Seattle is also a really good romantic comedy, as is You've Got Mail, which is not as good but still pretty solid. But my God, I mean, this movie is probably the closest thing to a perfect romantic comedy that we will ever get. I cannot imagine a scenario in 2026 where we get a better romantic comedy that is a smart, insightful, funny, gives agency to not only the characters, but to their relationships outside of the characters. The fact that it really does feel like they are living their lives in between the scenes of the movie, which sometimes you don't always get with romantic comedies, and just great performances across the board. I think this movie looks great as well. Like Rob Reiner isn't known for being like the greatest like cinematographer of all time, but this movie just feels very beautifully shot, incredibly competent, and I have nothing but good things to say. I was blown away. I've seen this movie before. It's definitely been a few years. I was blown away by how good this was.
I first watched this when I was probably 12 or 13. It was on TV. I had heard about it, right? And then, of course, the TV Guide channel gave it like a 3.5 out of 4. And I was like, okay, I'm interested. So I watched the whole thing and I was just like, I really like this movie. It's got enjoyable characters, I think, and I think relatable characters. Um, Billy Crystal in this is not like the usual Billy Crystal because he's so like not unhinged, but he's so like dark, and they kind of talk about his darkness and like how like philosophical he can get, and how like he just wants to like. It seems like every argument that comes up, he just wants to like come up with a counter argument just for the sake of like arguing, and he's that type of person. And I've dealt with those type of people, but like it can be a little charming. You know what I'm saying? Like just that idea of like this guy never stops. You know what I mean? And he's going to come up with every fucking counter argument or whatever, and the arguments are never going to end or until he apologizes or something like that. You know what I mean? And that was his character, and I really dig his character a lot. And Meg Ryan is so cute in this movie and adorable. Um, Something about her hair, I don't know what it is, but the constant changing of the hair also
They nailed the
reflected.
hair in this movie. I mean,
Yeah,
her hair is a really important element. I mean, all
I
joking
mean, the
aside,
way it looks in 77 and then 83 clearly shows the actual, like what 83 hair looks like, and then
because
jump to
77 she looks
88.
like Farrah Fawcett, and 83 it's definitely a little bit more blown out, and
And then in
yeah,
88
it's
it's more normal.
unbelievable.
Yeah, so I thought that was a great like transition with the hair.
Yeah, it's
And I don't
great.
know what they did with Billy Crystal's makeup. It felt like they gave him a little bit of cosmetic makeup on the face, a little bit for the
Well, he
77.
is older. I mean, he's 40 years old at this
That's
point,
what I'm saying,
and
because
I
like
mean,
he's gonna
they
do like
definitely,
City Slickers, where he's talking about being 40 in the next couple of years after this. So
yeah.
and then he's got the hairpiece on top, and that's fine. But for a makeup job, it looked really good. You know, a convincing makeup job. And I kind of like, I don't know what it is, but that 77 segment, that first part, the first 13 minutes, I timed it. I don't know what it is, but I just want more of that. I feel like if they expanded it a little more, yeah, it's almost as if like, the Before Sunset trilogy, where like they meet each other in three different movies and three different parts of their lives. Something about that first part of that 18-hour drive together is somehow fascinating to me. And I feel like that's a whole movie within itself you can do as like a remake today and just do an 18-hour drive between two people, whether it's a man and a man, woman and a woman, whatever kind of romance we want to do. And I think that formula really works out. But we only got 13 minutes of it and we jumped to the future. And I was like, man, I kind of wish we saw more of that drive. But, it's
I
unfortunate.
I think at this point, where I've landed with movies now is I feel like the best ones leave you wanting more, and the fact that you wanted more is actually what makes it good. And that's kind of where I'm at right
Maybe
now.
that's what it is. Maybe that's exactly what it is because it's so I don't know what it was, but them as like, 20-year-olds is kind of fascinating as to where they're going to be at and like 20 minutes later in the movie. You know what I mean? It's like I love that little slice of life of theirs before they become adults, so to speak. And then of course they become adults, and of course their romance grows and stuff. But I couldn't help but notice again. I don't want to call it the Kevin Smith way of filming. I don't know what to call it. Just call it the theater way of filming. Just slap a camera down, turn on and record, and let the actors do their thing, right?
I
And
think
you
it's
get
a
a
little
lot of
better than
that.
that. I think it's a little better than that. I don't think.
I mean, there are some scenes where it's like Meg Ryan is just like doing this monologue and it's like drawing you in, like in that dinner scene. I don't know what it is, but she's so
I do
good at
think
like
there's a lot.
monologues.
There's a lot of cutting back and forth though. So I do think that the editing in this movie is pretty slick. And again, I think the movie. I really like the look of the movie, and that's because I think I think anything shot on film just looks better at this point. And one of the things that you realize in 2026 is anytime you watch a movie from the 80s or 90s that's shot on film, you realize how much better film looks. So I think that's undoubtedly a part of my thinking. But I just think there's a lot of you get the good close ups, you get the good medium shots. Again, I don't he's not Spike Lee, he's not Martin Scorsese, but I think you're just getting a really competently shot romantic comedy. I think that's all you could ask for. I think this movie does feel like a play in so many ways. I'm surprised that it hasn't been turned into one, but I definitely think you could. I could see this as a play at some point, just because of the execution. And You mentioned sort of the greatness of this movie in so many ways. And to me, what makes the movie great is Nora Ephron. I think she's the credited screenwriter and the associate producer for this movie. And I don't know that this movie is good if Nora Ephron isn't behind it. And to me, and Rob Reiner has said it himself, and other people have said it about Rob Reiner, like his great strength was taking amazing screenplays and turning them into amazing movies. I think you saw that with Princess Bride. You see it here. You see it with A Few Good Men. Like that is his strength. He's taking great screenwriters and really bringing the magic to the screen. And I'm not sure you get that as much anymore. And just kind of producing this and directing the screenplay and making it something great. And I think just the screenplay for this movie is impeccable, and Nora Ephron deserves a lot of the credit for making this movie as good as it is, and the snappy dialogue is a testament to the actors and the chemistry. I think, yeah, it's just can't say enough good things about
Yeah, I think the dialogue is what makes this movie so good. It's like so like I don't know, like dramatic pauses and everything. Everything is timed so well in terms of the responses and their emotions and their reactions to certain things. And like,
there is a great rhythm to this that
yeah,
you
like
don't
the moment
get.
where she tells him that like she was going on a date, like she expected some negative reaction from him. He's like, "Oh no, that's great," and then he was like so positive about it, and she was like shocked. But they still play out that whole scene and see her reaction to it on her face, and it's just like so like natural. So there's something about this movie again, like I guess it's like Clerks. Like I had to mention Kevin Smith again, but man, it's that natural feel, and of course the cinematography that goes with it, and the background locations. And I also kind of think I don't know, maybe this is just me like thinking like all these years later, but if Billy Crystal was like 6 inches taller than Meg Ryan, this movie doesn't work. Does that make sense? They
No,
gotta be the
I think
same
I get.
height for the visual palette to work. Like I think it works. Like that's why the Woody Allen Diane Keaton dynamic works because they're the same height. And when you do a wide shot, they stick out together. Same thing you do in this movie. They do some wide shots and they stick out together, especially with like Meg Ryan's like fancy hat or whatever dark sweater that Billy Crystal's wearing. It sticks out, and it works out because they're the same height. You know what I'm saying? I think even Meg Ryan's taller than Billy Crystal in some scenes because of her lifts, but I think that dynamic really works out. And some of those things you really don't think about in terms of cinematography or maybe like even storytelling, but to me, I'm starting to realize these things now, and it works out because if he's 6 inches taller, like the dynamic of the cinematography is like it kind of dies down because you have to reshoot some things, and it's going to look awkward with that slant because you know how it is with couples that are like a foot apart, right? Like a 6 foot dude and a 5 foot chick, or even vice versa sometimes, right? Like that dynamic is kind of like whoa when you see it visually from afar. It's like this like slant that goes down between the two people, and you really don't want that in terms of like cinematography. You want like even, even scaling. So I thought that's a very key thing that no one really notices.
Yeah, I it's it's remarkable to me just looking at this movie and what it made. This movie came out in the summer of 1989, and anyone who knows anything about the summer of '89, you're talking about Indiana Jones, you're talking about the summer of Batman, and this movie like opened up and it made 193 million dollars on a 16 million dollar budget, and that's pretty remarkable for a movie like this. Like comedies don't make this much money, and it sucks that we don't have like these comedies that can cost 60 million, 20 million dollars and still bank a lot of money. And I think it's a testament to just how good it is. Like it's clearly one of the best comedies of all time, and I think will be regarded as such for many years to come. And again, I think a lot of the credit has to go to Rob Reiner, but it also has to go to Nora Ephron. And this movie was nominated for best original screenplay. And boy, oh boy, if this was going to get one nomination at the Academy Awards, this is the one that should have gotten it. And I mean, yeah, it's Nora Ephron was truly one of our great screenwriters because she also, of course, wrote Sleepless in Seattle as well as You've Got Mail, which I mentioned earlier.
She
And
also
yeah,
directed Sleepless in Seattle, which I wanted to bring up because I do enjoy that movie a lot, but you can tell Rob Reiner is a stronger director, and that's not taking much. I'm not trying to take away from Nora Ephron. She's still an excellent writer,
uh-huh.
but but in comparison, you can see why this is more known as the classic compared to Sleepless in Seattle, even though people I think still want the Tom Hanks Meg Ryan dynamic more than they do the Billy Crystal Meg Ryan dynamic, if that makes sense. Which is
I
why
mean,
that
Tom
was
Hanks is
successful
everybody
on its
loves
own.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
but the
everyone
thing for
wanted
me
that.
is like, I think the Billy Crystal part is really unique. I think like because Billy Crystal's been the romantic lead in a number of other movies, and I think it's generally been successful. And I think he's a good romantic lead. Like he's not conventionally handsome by any means, but I mean, I think he plays the role really well. And you mentioned that darkness. I kind of wish we got more of this Billy Crystal in other movies. Like it feels like he tended toward the maybe the wackier side in a lot of his work,
Well,
or
you get flashes of it in City Slickers, that's for sure. Because have you
you
seen City
do,
Slickers?
but
At the
it
beginning, when he's all depressed, turning 39 or whatever, and
I mean,
that
he's
whole
definitely
dynamic.
he definitely gets softened over the years as the '90s go on, and I think that kind of sucks because I really like this version of Billy Crystal the most. I mean, this is the Billy Crystal that could have gotten instead of hosting the Academy Awards, he could have been nominated for Academy Awards. I think if he keeps these kinds of this kind of pace up.
Yeah, it depends on the role, but this might have been his peak, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I think
because I can't think
again,
of a role after this that was clearly like as good as this role. Like, as much as I love City Slickers, and I know Forget Paris gets some love too. I'm trying to think of some movies after that. Definitely not Father's Day. I know Father's Day is not really well loved. Um,
yeah, by the late '90s, he was definitely swinging the other
and then
way.
what's the one with Analyze This and That did get some love from the box office. I got to give him
Yeah, that
that.
feels like his last like critically
But that
acclaimed like
wasn't like an
aesthetic movie.
Oscar worthy perform. Even though he's with Robert De Niro, still wasn't
Yeah,
Oscar worthy.
I mean,
But
to me, the thing about
yeah.
Billy Crystal is like his legacy is going to be this movie and hosting the Academy Awards as many times as he has. And
And for people
yeah,
under 20, he's going to be known as that dude who sits at the Yankees games all the time. Because,
and
yeah,
Mike from Monsters Inc.
that's true. That's very true because his voice is so recognizable. So at least he's got something to cling on to with this generation in terms of
Yeah,
recognizability or whatever. So,
and he is going to be a part of the Academy Awards. He and Meg Ryan are going to be doing the Rob Reiner
yeah, we
tribute
mentioned
again.
that. Yeah, we mentioned
I
that.
mean,
And that's going to be
again,
awesome.
all I can say is like
If
again,
they're
I think
sitting
Princess
down at a
Bride.
diner scene, sign me
Well,
up, dude.
they already ruined it because if you remember the Super Bowl last year, they did a Hellman's mayonnaise commercial and did an homage to
Yeah, I saw that,
their
but
thing,
I
and
want
it
to see the
ruined it.
Academy Award stage turn into a fucking diner that looks like it's from
I don't, I
1985.
don't, I don't think they're going to necessarily do that. I think they're going to do something a little bit classier for this. And again, to me, I still think Princess Bride is like his best movie, but these two should be the ones that are doing the tribute because I think again, I think the movie that I would most closely associate with Rob Reiner is When Harry Met Sally, and again, that's for a very good reason. So yeah, I definitely can see why they are the ones that are being chosen to do the tribute. And it's and again, you know, Billy Crystal and that whole legacy of hosting the Oscars too. It's very fitting.
Yeah. Overall, I would say this is a 9 out of 10 for me. It's a
This is
classic.
absolutely a 9 out of 10 for me.
Um,
I think
I've seen
we
this
didn't
so
really
many times, Jerome. So many
we didn't
times.
talk about the ending very much, but I mean, look, the ending is something that you see in all romantic
It's not a
comedy.
trope. It's not really a trope at all. Because you would expect like Billy
I do
Crystal
think it
to
is,
sleep with someone
but
else, right? And then she'd be like, "Why did you sleep with him after you slept with me?" That
I
you know
think
what?
I'm more referring to like the ending, like the big scramble at the end, and it's happening all at once and all that shit.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's a
it is a
typical
trope,
Hollywood ending
but
trope.
it's
Yeah.
so well done. Like it is like the fact of the matter is, I don't care that it's a cliche because it's so well done. I don't care. Like that's how you know that Rob Reiner is doing something really good because it's shot really well, great dialogue. It's yeah, I was just so
Yeah,
very
and
very impressed.
I couldn't help but also think of Pam and Jim from The Office because it's that same kind of dynamic where it took years for them to get together. But also in The Office, like after they got together, they got married after 3 months, and in this case, they got married after 3 months after finally getting together on New Year's. So that was a really cool detail because I guess that's something that does happen in real life where couples who do get together after knowing each other for so long and then finally hook up and get together, they're just like, fuck it, we've known each other for so long, for so many years. We might as well just get married after like dating for like 2 months, right? So, and I'm sure that does happen like a lot. So I thought that was a nice little detail. And I like the couples. We forgot to mention the couples on the couch. Um, Fucking awesome.
The real life
Just
married couples, very good stuff.
yeah.
We didn't.
And
We I can't.
the one story
I
about
can't.
the getting married twice, 35 years apart, always gets me, Jerome. Always gets me.
It pops me too. We have not. I can't believe we haven't mentioned Carrie Fisher. She is in a supporting role. I think she's much
Script
better than
doctor Carrie Fisher, but probably didn't need to do any script doctoring, to be
yeah.
honest. Like
I'm not imagining she did it, but she's really good in this. Like I think she is
her
kind
and
of
Bruno Kirby
casting
have this weird chemistry, right? Like
really good.
it's like two people you wouldn't assume that would get together, but when they start talking, it's like, oh, now I see why they're together because they just yap 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 yap.
everything
You know what I
clicks.
mean?
Everything clicks. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, they're really good together. And again, to me, it leaves you wanting more because you're like, I kind of want to watch a movie about them. I don't think a movie about them would actually be good. Like I
right.
think it actually works because they're supporting characters.
Yeah, and it's cool because Bruno Kirby ends up being the best friend again in City Slickers. And I like that dynamic because I think him and Billy Crystal have these really good bro talks, right? Like you know what I mean? Like they really are honest with each other, and they seem like they're good friends in real life. And I don't know if that's true or not, but they play it off. And that football game scene was really good. Um, yeah, I just like their dynamic, especially in City Slickers. We could talk about that another time, but they're really good at City
At
Slickers
some point,
together.
you're gonna do it. You're gonna pull the trigger and decide that we're gonna watch City Slickers.
Well, I mean, if you want to love Jack Palance and remember that Oscar, we saw it, right? We saw that 92 Oscars where he did
We
the
did.
push up
Yep.
and he won for the first one. So there you go.
So if you are so inclined, uh, please everyone Google Nora Ephron and Carl Bernstein. What a tumultuous relationship that ended up being turned into both a book and a movie. Highly recommend people read about this. Do you know about this?
No, but I do know Rob Reiner was sort of the inspiration for When Harry Met Sally. Is that correct?
I'm not sure, but I know that he fell in love, and that's why that it had a
Or
happy ending.
something like that. It inspired parts of the story or
Right.
of
Yeah,
something.
she did write the screenplay with Rob Reiner in mind, and I think you see that in Billy Crystal. Like Billy Crystal, it feels like he is acting Rob Reiner to a certain extent. Like not exactly, but like you can kind of feel like Rob Reiner in that character. Whereas I don't think you really get that with anyone else.
Right. Yeah. And little side note, we forget to mention that Rob Reiner's dad is a known director, Carl Reiner, who works with Steve Martin. I just watched a Steve Martin movie called The Man with Two Brains, and boy, Rob Reiner is clearly a better director than his dad. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta
I mean,
say.
Carl Reiner is an iconic TV writer, writing
Comedy
on your show
legend. Yeah, I
shows.
get it, man.
The
But man,
creator
as
of
a
the Dick,
director,
I'm just saying, the creator of the Dick Van Dyke Show.
I know, I
You
know.
are
Listen,
not
I
going to
like the jerk, but the
besmirch his
man with two
name.
brains, my goodness, that was wow.
Look,
One
some
of the
people
worst
are
Steve
great
Martin movies
writers,
I've ever
and some
seen.
people are great directors, and clearly Carl Reiner's strength was in his directing or in his writing, and
Yeah,
that's
and Steve
okay.
Martin clearly needs to pick better stories because some of them are just too wacky for me to understand. So,
All right, so we are going to end our tribute with Rob Reiner in a very unusual way because we're going to be talking about Misery next week. I have never seen this movie before. That is one of the main reasons I wanted to do this tribute was to use this as an excuse to watch and discuss Misery. You have seen Misery, correct?
oh yes, multiple times. I rented it, saw it on
So I have seen
TV.
because I watched the critic. I know a lot about Misery, but I'm still very excited to finally watch it.
You are never ever gonna look at a sledgehammer the same way ever again, dude.
Again, I
Like,
know what happened. Like again, I've seen the
yeah,
critic
I know,
episode.
but when you see it, it's one of the most. I don't know. This is why I say that scare. Like for me, the things that really scare me are real life shit and like supernatural stuff I have fun with, like in kaiju and all that stuff. But when it comes to real horror, like it sticks with you. And I'm serious. Like, yeah, dude, never crash in the snow. Never be an obsessed like writer, or never have obsessed fans as a writer. Like all those rules, you know what I mean? Just all the
Yeah,
Stephen King rules are just like on the table in this movie.
yeah. So we've got that to look forward to. We know what we're going to be doing for the month of March, and we have made a trade. April and May are going to get really weird. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, May is going to be more of the tribute. I think April will divide it up because we're going to be doing two shows, and that's all we're going to say. I think we're going to have to do more. I think it's going to be 3 weeks for you and 1 week for me because of the way that it's structured and the
The
timing of the
way that
show,
it's going to work out, yeah, I think
and the
it's
way that my show's been conveniently edited by fans on YouTube to cut out the bullshit. And that's kind of a clue. But that's just the way some of these shows are when you watch them as a kid. That's all I'll say.
All right. Thank you all for listening. We will talk to you again later. For Brian, I'm Jerome. Thanks again. Bye.